So we're checking out Sharky here. Your tooth UVs are looking a lot better. They still could use some work. For example, right here we've kind of got some unusual stuff going on. So make sure you take some time for these things, and try to get that shape as accurate as you possibly can, okay? But this is good. This is fine, and this will work. So don't worry too much about your teeth at this point. We just want to get you moving on and continuing with the rest of Sharky, okay? So I'm not going to worry about those for now. So let's look at Sharky. It looks like there's been some work done on the UV map here. But, there's been an important step before UV mapping that has been missed, okay? And that is smoothing out Sharky, alright? And that's going to happen right at the beginning of Chapter 5, okay? Basically, in the last video, we worked all the way up to Chapter 5 and just kind of stopped there. So we're at Chapter 5 now, and, pretty much the first thing that we do after we, create these layers for different objects is to smooth Sharky out, okay? So we're going to go through that right now, just in the video here. Make sure you have Sharky selected, alright? And you're going to go up to Mesh, and if you come down, there's Smooth right here. We're just going to click this little box to the right to see our little menu here, okay? You want to make sure you have Exponentially selected, alright? This should be set to 1, Crease All, 1. We're going to have Smooth UVs checked, alright? Smooth Internal should be selected. Geometry borders should be checked. Selection borders should be checked. And tessellation should be checked. Okay, so these will likely already be set just the way you want them. Okay, but please do double check them against that list. And again, you can find this in your book as well. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and once I've done that and double checked all of this, hit Smooth, and you can see now Sharky has twice as much geometry and looks much smoother. Okay, so looking pretty nice there. We can just click off of Sharky to kind of get rid of that weird highlighted mode that we were in there, okay? So now that our geometry is actually correct, now we can begin to create our UV maps, okay? So let's go ahead and create a UV map for Sharky here. We're just going to come up to Create UVs, alright? And I'm going to go with Cylindrical Mapping, okay? Alright, so we get this cylinder, and this is going to be very similar to what you've already done before, because it looks like you did go through the process of creating the cylindrical UV map, but your geometry wasn't quite set up yet at the time you had done it, okay? So we'll just kind of redo that and then go through those steps again. Okay, so it starts out kind of oriented in the wrong direction. Alright, it's not quite how we want it to be. Alright, so let's go ahead and change it so that we can really get a good starting point for our UV map. The first thing that we'll go ahead and deal with is the fact that at the moment it's only going 180 degrees around Sharky. We want our UV map to go a full 360 degrees. Okay, so we can come over here to our attribute editor. All right, and this value projection horizontal sweep is where we can control how much of Sharky we're getting inside of this UV projection. Okay, so we want to change that all the way to 360. That's going to get sort of a UV snapshot of Sharky from every angle all the way around. Okay, in this circle. All right, so we also want to kind of change the orientation of this cylinder that's going around. So we're going to come over to our channel box / layer editor, all right, and rotate Z right here. We're going to change this value to 90 for 90 degrees, all right, and it's going to kind of reorient itself this way so that the cylinder is going lengthwise along Sharky's body, okay, kind of forming like a little tube, that maybe you could imagine Sharky swimming through. All right, that's kind of where you want this to be, okay? So we're also going to need to adjust the size of the cylinder. If you press space bar, you can see multiple views here, okay, and it can help you adjust things. If I hover my mouse over one of these windows and press space bar, it'll expand it so I can see a little better, okay? Now if I grab this little handle in the center here, alright, it's kind of hard to see because of all the faces on Sharky, but if I grab that handle and click and drag, alright, I can adjust the size of the cylinder. Okay, I'm looking at Sharky from the front right now, or the back, really, depending on how you look at it. So I just want this circle to just encompass these fin tips right here, the pectoral fin tips. So I don't want it to come in too far where we have the fins on the outside, but I don't want any huge extra space either. So just bring those in so that your circle here is close to the tips of the pectoral fins. All right, and that's a good starting point for that. The next thing that we'll want to look at, I'm pressing spacebar again to look at my other views, is that we'll also want this to be about the length of Sharky. Okay, so I can adjust that by grabbing this handle right here. Okay, I can pull this in and out. You can see, while I'm pulling it in this screen, I can watch it over here so that I can accurately see when I've pulled it out far enough. Okay, so I can look over here. I've pulled it out just past the tip of the nose, and it's also just past the tip of the tail. Okay, so it is encompassing Sharky's entire body at this point. All right. So one more adjustment that we're going to need to make at this point is where the seam is going to be happening. Okay, for our UV map. Right now, we're going to get one continuous UV map, kind of unwrapping Sharky with a seam that's going along the side of Sharky's body. Okay, so there's going to be this seam happening right here along the side. Now, in 3D modeling, it's very important to hide seams whenever we can. Okay, because basically wherever we have a seam, the player is going to be able to see that, or viewer, player or viewer, depending on whether you are making a game or a movie. So, anywhere we've got a seam, people are going to be able to see it. It's going to break the realism. So we want to kind of put seams in out-of-the-way places as much as we possibly can. So we're going to move this seam so that it's no longer going straight down the side of Sharky, but so that it's happening underneath here on Sharky's belly. Okay? People are less likely to be looking. Alright? So to do that, we'll just come over here to our attribute editor. Alright? And we're going to rotate our cylinder here by 90 degrees. Alright? And this is in the Y direction, alright? Okay, so once we've done that, you can see our handlebars have kind of changed to the bottom here. This is where our seam is now, alright? So, once we've done all of those things, we're ready to take a look at our UV map that we've created in our UV texture editor. Okay, so we just come up to Window here, UV texture editor. There's our map. It's a starting point. It's not awesome yet, but we'll get there. It's pretty smooth, so there aren't going to be too many areas that we're going to have to do a lot of work to. All right, so that's good. Let's start with kind of some of the most simple things to work with, and I'm just right-clicking and holding right now to select UV. Okay, so that I can start working with my UVs here. One of the simplest things to work with is going to be some of these fins that are on the inside. This is a dorsal fin right here, okay, this area. And this is one of your pectoral fins. Here's the pectoral fin on the other side. So you'll get, this kind of thing going on, where you can kind of see where things are, alright? So let's go ahead and let's start with the dorsal fin, alright? We'll just grab, a bunch of UVs in this general area, okay? Just in this kind of square. And we can use a great tool that we've got called the Smooth UV tool. It's right here, alright? You can click on this guy, and this little yellow plus will pop up, and it'll have two little boxes that say unfold and relax. You can click and drag the little yellow pointer to move this around, so that you can kind of see what you're doing, and you can just set it wherever you want it to be, alright, on your workspace. Now you can hover your mouse over either one of these words, unfold or relax, and click and drag left and right to use these tools, okay? As soon as you let go of the mouse, that's when it's gonna go ahead and be permanent, alright? Or at least it's gonna be, set to whatever you have left it at, and you can always Z back if you make a mistake, alright? So we'll just click and drag. I'm just hitting the unfold tool here. I'll try the relax tool as well, and by unfolding and relaxing things, you'll start to get this all untangled, alright? And you can grab smaller areas if you need to, see what effects your unfold and relax tools are having. And just start playing with these things until you're getting results that you're happy with. So you know, what results are we happy with? What we ideally want to see is that there are no polygons sitting directly on top of one another. Okay, so as far as I zoom in, you know, everything should be blue. I should be seeing only blue, meaning that there are no polygons that are tangled up or curving on top of one another, okay? So just grab some more of those, unfold them, you know, and it's looking fine. We have a tangled up area right here, okay? So, you know, you can also grab individual UVs and move them around if you need to, if you're having problem areas, okay? So I can pull these down if I want to, just one at a time, to untangle them. You know, if my unfold and relax tools are not really working for me, you know, I can always just go in there and start unfolding things manually as well. Okay, just by grabbing things one at a time and moving them around. Spacing things out. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect. Luckily, Sharky is not going to be using a very detailed map, alright? So we don't have to get super perfect on most of this stuff, okay? So we've kind of unfolded the dorsal fin. Let's try our pectoral fin here. We'll just grab a bunch of these UVs, alright, in this area, and again, we'll just use the smooth UV tool. And we can try unfolding and relaxing. Right, so in this case, relaxing seemed to work much better than the unfold tool. You know, and we can you know, first relax and then unfold and see what that gets us. You know, it starts to get a little crazy once you get a little closer in here, so we might then use the relax tool on that, okay, to fix that. So, you know, but there you go. That, you know, that took only a couple of minutes, and we've already got this pectoral fin completely unfolded, okay? And I'm confident you can apply the same principle over here to this other one, so we won't mess with that one. You know, here's another fin right here that we can use the same basic principle on. Alright, just unfolding and relaxing. And don't forget to get in close here and make sure you're really untangling everything. Alright? So that all looks fine. Now let's kind of get into some of these other areas that look a little more complex, alright? So where you're seeing red here, where you're seeing this large gap going on, and things like that. We'll start with this gap area, okay? And kind of fixing this, alright? So anywhere that you're seeing red, this is where UVs have kind of folded on top of one another, okay? They're kind of just folded over. If you imagine them as like a piece of paper, anywhere that's blue is going to be paper facing up, and anywhere where you see this red is going to be paper folded on top of itself. Alright? So you can grab these individual UVs. I'm going to go ahead and use my move tool, and I can pull them out. Alright, so I'm pulling them in towards the center in this case, okay? And we can just move things around, just like that. Alright, so already we're not seeing that red color anymore. And we're able to kind of tell what's going on with our UVs a little bit better. Alright, so you kind of see all those different lines. Okay. All right, and let's do the same thing over here. These are, you know, folded upside down. They're facing the wrong way. So we bring them the opposite direction of where they're kind of heading right now. That will start to unfold them. Okay, so we grab these and just pull them back over this way. Don't forget these guys way out here, right? Bring those in. Now, an important principle here to keep in mind is that as long as you have your edges where you want them to be, you can grab all kinds of things in the middle and just use that unfold and relax tool, you know, as much as you want to really quickly fix up your geometry. However, if you grab something that's on an outside edge, for example, if I grab an area here and I have all these guys that are on the outside edge, and I try and use my unfold and relax tool on these, it's going to start pinching inwards, all right? And, you know, we're going to start getting some problems with the tools, all right, if we go that route. So basically, you know, once you get your outside edges in order, the rest becomes a lot simpler, okay? In this case, we have these outside edges, this gap, all right, where actually there should not be a gap. So what we're going to do here is sew these two sides of the gap back together, all right? And then once they're completely back together, there will be no more outer edges in here, all right? It'll be all one solid piece, and then we can grab a whole lot of geometry at once and smooth it out, okay? So, you know, let's go ahead and try that. I'll show you what I mean. So it can be a little confusing at first, but, you know, we'll learn by doing it. So I'm going to pull a lot of this stuff around, just looking for where these edges are at the edge of the gap here, okay? So we want to kind of go about sewing this back together however we can. It helps to go ahead and go to edge mode. Alright, and just right click and hold, and then I'm going to edge mode here. And I can grab an edge, alright? And when I have an edge that's along a gap here, alright, it's going to light up a corresponding edge as well. So no matter which edge along this gap I choose, there will be another edge that lights up as well, alright? These are corresponding edges, and they'll go all the way, you know, along this entire gap. So basically, corresponding edges represent the same edge on your shark model, alright? In this case, if we take a look here, the edge I have selected right now that you can see highlighted over here and over here, those both represent this edge on your shark model, okay? So, you know, one of these is showing the polygon that's on one side of this edge, and the other is showing a polygon that's on the other side of this edge. So these are actually representative of the exact same edge, and they should be sewn together, okay? So let's go ahead and start sewing these together, alright? What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go to UV mode here, And I'm going to kind of move these into, a place that's sort of makes sense, alright, so that they're just kind of close to one another, and I'm not leaping these huge gaps every time, alright. So I'm just moving these into position so that they're, ready to be sewn together. Okay, so now that we've moved them closer to one another, we can kind of see where the corresponding edges are going to be. Now we can just go to edge mode and start grabbing edges. Once we've grabbed all of these along the gap, we can come up here and there's a little tool called Sew UVs. Alright, looks like a little needle with a box around it. Okay, just click on that. It's going to sew those together. So now instead of having a large gap here, we have one solid piece. So, again, that means there are no longer outside edges in this area. So that leaves us free to grab a whole lot of UVs. And you can go crazy with that if you want to. Just grab a bunch. And we can now use, just make sure you don't grab any that are on the outside edges, alright? You can use your unfold and relax tools to try and get that shape that you want, alright? So, of course, right here we'll have to come in closer and sort of deal with this area, alright? Okay, so sometimes your unfold tool will do some crazy stuff. So, if you see that kind of thing happening, then, it's a good time to use your relax tool instead. Or, if you get in real close like this and there's a lot going on and your relax tool isn't doing the trick for you, you can always come in here as well and, the old-fashioned way, just move things. And often, if you find that your unfold and relax tool are having problems, it's probably because of geometry issues. Alright? So something in the geometry that you created beforehand was not quite sound. Alright? So that's, one of the reasons it's really important to be very careful when you are creating your geometry, alright? Because it'll save you a lot of trouble later on untangling things. And it'll go much faster for you, okay? So I'm not really gonna give this too much attention right now. You'll want to pay more attention to it when you actually go in and do it, but we don't have all day for the video here, so we'll move on to bigger and better things. So we've got that pretty much untangled, and again, it's just a matter of kind of establishing where you want your outside edges to be, and then kind of unfolding the inner bits. All right, so let's do that now with some of this stuff as well. All right, I'm gonna grab a bunch of this, and I'll see what effect my unfold and relax tools are having. Okay, so not very good because I've got outer edges that I have grabbed here. All right, and it's a little bit crazy. So I can go to UV mode here and just use my move tool And I'm going to keep anything that's not on an outer edge just kind of inside this dark gray area. Alright, I'll just move this stuff up a little bit. You know, I don't have to be particularly careful with it, because what I'm really concerned about is anything that's on this outside edge here, okay? So I'm going to kind of go through and follow these outer edges and just grab them and pull them over, alright? So I'll grab a few of these, pull them over here, and I'm just lining them along this square area, okay? Just grabbing anything that's on the outside edge and just arranging it along the bottom of my UV space, okay? Doesn't have to be perfect. You know, we can always readjust it later if we need to. This is just to kind of get things in place so that we can really start untangling this. Okay, I'm going to move some of this stuff over. You can see my outside edge here. I'm going to move these so that they're just on the outside of this UV space, okay? This dark gray area. And you know, once you get them kind of somewhat arranged here where you can grab a lot of them at once, you can actually grab these and use your scale tool, and you can just scale them in one direction to get them into a perfectly straight line, so you don't have to move each individual one every time. You can already have something like a straight line to start with, okay? I'll speed things up for you. So I'm going to move a lot of this stuff over as well. It's kind of a mess right now, but we'll fix it. So again, just find anything that's on this outer edge. Alright, so we should follow this into this tangled web. And figure out which of these edges is the outer edge. Here's one. An outer edge. Okay. Just keep following these outside edges. Things can sometimes get pretty tangled up, and you can, you know, just grab stuff if you get in a situation like this. Try out your Unfold and Relax tool to kind of help you see what's going on, and to help you find those outside edges. All right. Alright, so we've got all the outer edges along here. We'll go ahead and grab them. Making sure I'm only grabbing UVs that are along the outer edge. And again, I can just use my scale tool to bring those all in line with one another. Alright. You can move everything else back. And just place all of these guys right along that outside edge. Okay? So, once I've done that, I can again just grab a massive area on the inside and use my unfold and relax tools. You can see how quickly it rearranges my geometry to look nice and cleanly spaced. Alright? And you may need to use a combination of the unfold and relax tools. You may need to come in closer to smaller areas like this and deal with them using the relax tool, alright? So you can't just grab a giant area and expect the unfold and relax tool to do everything for you, but they will clean it up quite a lot, as you can see. Pretty quickly we went from a huge tangled mess to something that looks pretty nice, okay? So, again, just in summary, find your outside edges, place them along this UV space where you want them to be, alright? And once you have done that, you can then go in, grab large areas with your smooth UV tool, and smooth them out, alright? You'll also want to refer to your textbook for this kind of thing, okay? And it'll also give you a lot of helpful tips and advice about, how to move things from one side to another if you need to, and sew UVs, cut UVs, and all kinds of other tips. So, please do refer to that. There's a lot of useful information in there for you. Let me know if you have any specific questions about, anything that we went over today in the video. And, that's it for today. But thanks for watching, and happy modeling.